Okay, so we have game 6, and there are a lot of things going on this board. It's Bishop and Fortress. There's Wild Hunt with a lot of points. This is University to gain everything, all the action cards. And you have a little bit of help to line things up with Scouting Party. And a little bit of points on Colonnade. I say a little bit because Bishop and Fortress is an infinite source, so 12 over infinity is a little bit, right? Anyways, back to Bishop. Bishop is your only trashing on the board. It's a little bit tricky to maneuver with Bishop. If you start to trash with Bishop early, you let your opponent trash early as well, and then that might not be the best thing for you. Not entirely certain. So I am going to hold out on the Bishop for a little while here and open Gear Potion, as does my opponent, and look to go for something with Universities and Wild Hunts. While Bishop can give you a lot of points with the Fortress, there's the thinning issue, and there's also a lot of points on Wild Hunt as well, you know? Especially if you win the Wild Hunt split, you have a lot more control over that. So Gear is there for a bit of draw and for a bit of control in your deck. So here I set aside a couple coppers rather than the overgrown estate and a copper. I feel like, okay, there's Scouting Party around, so the extra money might come into play. Maybe? I don't know if that's right or not. The gear choices here, they have to be very well thought out, I feel, if you want to squeeze the most out of your deck, because, alright, we're both going after Universities, which doesn't draw, so to get your University to line up with your Wild Hunt or with your gear is not going to fall into place so easily right now. I mean, the Scouting Party, which helps, it didn't need help on that turn, but it could have needed help, right? I didn't know that both of them were together there. Couldn't know that. So I feel like gear coupled with your Scouting Party, you have to make very, very shrewd use of those two things to make sure things line up. And I'm not sure I made the best use of them in this game. Not entirely sure. Anyways, my opponent is able to pick up a Wild Hunt here, and he has a couple points off of the Colonnade by purchasing the second University there. So I think he's a little bit ahead just because of how things came for him. We have nearly the same kind of cards in our deck. He buys a Fortress here, which I think is very important. It is a village that draws cards, and also the Bishop, if he wants to go for that at some point, will make use of that Fortress. So here now, what is the plan for setting aside? Well, I just go for the overgrown estate and I pick up a Fortress of my own. Maybe it should have been 2 coppers, purchase native village, something like that. Not entirely certain. I also wanted the Fortress to start, you know, getting Fortress Wild Hunt going, maybe a Fortress Gear. Gear is very, very nice here because, you know, you could save up things that you perhaps drew dead, or save up things for the next turn, which is really the big plus of duration cards. Very big plus. Colonnade here, I don't think that should really influence your building decisions too much, because as I mentioned, Bishop is there to easily catch up with whatever deficit you have from the Colonnade. So me, at this point, I'm going to go very heavily after the Wild Hunts here. I put the Necropolis aside because I don't need it right now, and I may need the plus actions next turn, so that is another village in the deck. And Gear just seems very, very good, regardless of the Colonnade points or not. Gear just seems very good at this point. So I did put a couple terminals into the deck. I was not able to purchase a village to balance that, but we should be okay. Gear counts as like half a village, especially if you half a terminal, especially if you save something with it, right? It stays out of the deck, so not entirely worried about that. And both of us seem to be going after the Wild Hunt. So the game, it could have gone in a few directions. I didn't even mention tournament. There's also tournament province happening on the board. So Bishop Fortress, Wild Hunt, tournament province, lots of things happening. We both ended up going after the Wild Hunt thing. None of us have tournaments, none of us have bishops yet, so that is definitely something interesting. You know, perhaps somebody else would have gone a bit differently on this board here. Maybe. Not entirely certain. So, well, definitely people would have probably tried different things here. Like maybe going after the tournament and province thing is better. I don't really think so. Like this, the discard attack doesn't really hurt from the followers and the estates, like the or the curses you could trash out with bishop. The steed is of course very nice. I feel the steed is better than the followers here. The princess is even in front of the followers on this board, I feel. So here again more Wild Hunt, and here the choice is between University or Scouting Party. I go for Scouting Party here because I want to try to set up my next turn. As it turns out, I didn't need to do that, but I felt like I couldn't be 100% sure unless I use the Scouting Party. I ended up actually having to get rid of a gear off of the Scouting Party, which is very bad. And perhaps even worse was not picking up a University for the plus actions for the gaining, because it is from around this point out where the game starts to drift away from me. So far it has been somewhat level, I feel, somewhat even. My opponent here is able to pick up a University after he scouts ahead, so he'll probably have a very good turn on the next turn. But the key point there is that he has an extra gain over me now. Now I obviously can't buy universities, but at this point I gave up my opportunity to buy one, and he didn't, right? He took his. This is a bit unfortunate here. I was really hoping to see a gear to save something or to draw a little bit more into the deck, but I don't see any of my gears. I see all my coppers though. So that's something, and I take all the wild hunts, which is excessive. I know it's excessive. I do not have enough actions to support that many terminals, but I still take it anyway. Perhaps here I should have stopped at the last one and gone for a fortress. Oh, yes, I'm listening to myself. Well done, me. So yeah, I do pick up the fortress, realizing my, terminal collision, which shows up here. So I say, okay, fine, I kinda looked for this with the way I built. Didn't really want to lose the wild hunt split, so I went after them a bit aggressively. May not be the best idea in the world, but is what I have to deal with now. So my opponent, he doesn't draw everything here, but he has quite a good turn again to drop 2 lost hunts into play, as well as a gear, and the gear is very important, and another university for him here. So now the count is 4-2. 4-2. So hopefully I draw a couple coppers here. I can save a couple wild hunts and pick up a university of my own again, and coupled with another scouting party for him. So can only imagine that his turn is going to be very good. He has the gear and he has scouted ahead, so he should be in good shape for next turn. And his deck is coming along quite nicely here. Yeah, so perhaps I should not have lasered in on the wild hunts so much. It's okay, I guess, because the bishop is there again to help deal with whatever points deficit from wild hunt as well. Just unless you have the time, right? So I save a couple draw cards here, and I don't find any plus action cards. No fortress, no university, no necropolis, just coppers and a hovel. In the meantime, my opponent is able to draw his entire deck, and this is the turning point of the game here. This is crushing. This is completely winning for my opponent here. So he actually leaves quite a bit of points on the wild hunt, 9 of them. But again, that is the absolute correct thing to do here. with an infinite source of points. He has the bishop, he's played the bishop now, and he's picked up a province. So there's also bag of gold in there. Bishop, bag of gold works very nicely to get you lots of points every turn. The 9 points are really inconsequential on our board with potentially infinitely many points. So that was good of him there. And I go for another scouting party here. This one I probably shouldn't have done, seeing my first two hands, but I still did it, and I did it again here. Again, knowing my first two hands, these scouting parties were perhaps not the best thing in the world. Tournament or fortress would have been better. Definitely a fortress, I think, is the best option at that point, but we have a couple scouting parties born out of frustration mostly there. I mean, even if I didn't buy the scouting party, I was way behind at this point, right? My opponent would get prizes, bishop starts gaining him points, making him more reliable. A very difficult position to play out of at this point. I am 4-2 down on the universities. He has a lot more control over when pile is empty, so all in all, it seemed quite lost for me. In fact, here, I believe he manages to get a prize off of the tournament that picks up one more province, and on the next turn he's able to finish the game with enough buys and gains from the princess. So there are 5 gains needed to end the game. I can't do that. There's no way I can because I only have the 2 unis, but he can, and this is just icing on the cake, right? This beautiful draw here, as well as this beautiful scouting party forcing me to discard good cards. So we finish at 3 apiece here. I was hoping for a bit more given the start I had in this match, but we finish at 3 apiece. Yeah, I'm slowly getting back into things, right? Slowly getting back into things. I felt a lot better in this match, and I think the results showed that. So I have a couple more. We'll see what happens with the demotion thing, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next two.